Hi, this is Crystal at the Rain Dance Ranch. So we are about to get blooms popping up on these gold lights. Gold lights from Sunflower Selections or wherever you can get them. Great flowers. They're like my biggest sunflowers. And I think I planted them at the same time that I planted this row of horizons. And look at the size difference. And they get more morning sun. Morning shade. I always say things backwards. I had a car accident when I was a young child. I had to go to speech therapy. Anyways, got another row coming up here. This one looks like might be a Starburst Panache, and I think those smaller ones might be Starburst Panache. And I believe that I planted all of these at the same succession, but I can't recall because I kind of did my successions haphazard because I have a crazy full-time job, and I just put seeds down and hope for the best, you know? I'm not seeing any of the new yarrow coming up for sure. Looks like there's a little something right there that I didn't see earlier. This is the worst soil here. It's very dense clay compared to over here. So, you know, even though they say, you know, yarrow can grow in bad soil, that doesn't mean that it'll be happy in clay. There's one coming up there, and this is pretty clay too. But this is a little more developed. This is more of a hard clay here, but it'll be interesting to see. I'm just going to be happy if I get a few more yarrow filling in here. Because next year, well, it's probably going to happen in this I'm going to try it at different times. I'm going to move the yarrow from here and plant it in another bed. So this is sort of like what I've designated as my yarrow development bed. Let's see if I got any yarrow coming up in here. This probably is not a good idea. That might be a yarrow. Or it could be cilantro. This is cilantro. There's a bunch of little cilantros coming up that I pulled from the cilantro plants directly and then put them in the ground over here. And they grew. They take a little while to germinate though. So we'll see how those do. But I did plant a bunch of yarrow seed there. And look at how pretty. This yarrow looks just like the Firefly Peach I ordered. And I just am so happy. I just love every stage of this yarrow is beautiful. Okay. This is an interesting thing here. This is Austrian winter pea. And it was growing all summer here, and it was growing all along here. And I kept pulling it, and it kept sort of growing back, and I was pulling it and using it as like green mulch around the garden. And then there was just this one sort of little stand of it down here. You know what? I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the camera. There was just one little stand of it here on the end, and I tried to start getting it to grow up here, but it's kind of hard because it gets tangled in itself. And and now I've got this big mass. The thing grew all summer. It puts on barely any, but a little bit of flowers that don't really last long. And I would like to be able to use these in my cut flower arrangements, but they just get so tangled. It's hard to use them. So I don't know if I had more time to tend the garden, I might be able to get them to grow each individual vine to grow separately, and then I could cut them, but I don't know if it's worth it. Although, I mean, if I didn't have the crazy job I have right now, I'm sure I would have tried that already. And this right here, I was thinking when it first popped up that it was the Pushkinia, but now I'm thinking it's the Stella de Oro that I planted. So I'm real excited about that. It was like a bare root. And I'm like, I don't have time to figure out what the best thing to do with this is. I'm just going to pop it in, and if it grows, great. If not, no big deal, because I got it like at the dollar store. And it's growing, and I really wanted the Stellas because they make the best potatoes, apparently. I haven't tried them, but I can't wait. So if you are looking to do like a front yard garden, you might want to border it, like a front yard, like edible garden, and you think your neighbors are going to get persnickety, you could border your whole garden with Stella de Oros, and then anything that you might be letting go to seed, or it just looks raggedy, or whatever people hate about growing food in your front yard. It just is beyond me. But, you could have these Stellas, and then in all winter long, you can go just pull them out as you need potatoes. And you eat them like potatoes, and apparently they taste like potatoes, and you cook them like potatoes. And I can't wait to try them. And they multiply pretty good. The daylilies do, from what I understand. From what I've seen from other people that have them and everything. So I can't wait to see how those do. Of course, maybe it really is the Pushkinia, but the Pushkinia is a real low little plant, and they're starting to get kind of big over there. So I'm real happy about that pink geranium. The flowers are starting to look like something. This red geranium, now I do know that they don't really like the hot weather, and maybe that red geranium and the lobelia will start coming back, but this one did real good. I cannot for the life of me remember the name of it. I made a video and talked about the name of it. And I just haven't bothered to look it up again. But this is a great plant, and I'm definitely going to get some more of those eventually. But they're more for like landscaping, I think. But they do in a pinch if you need a little something in a mason jar container. So, why not? This guy right here, this large Shangiku, I wish I had cut it down just to see how it would come back earlier in the season. And I don't know, I always think, I'll just do this real fast before I go to work. I don't know what I'm going to do today before I go to work, but I'm going to get a little something done. But I just kind of wanted to talk about some interesting things happening. Some observations that's a winter pea. And it just totally survived our hot, intense summers. But you know what? Actually, our summers are actually a little more like San Diego summers. So, what I have determined is that this is a prime agricultural location. And people don't see it. And I'm going to do something about it. All right. Oh, and then these are the ice cream sunflowers, which I wonder if they were in more of a full sun spot, would they be doing better? But I am hoping that they will bloom before our first frost, like October 15. I hope they bloom before October 15. But they may not. They're kind of wimpy looking. But these Sunflower Selection Pro Cuts, there is a reason why all the cut flower pros suggest them and why they are called Pro Cut. Because They live up to their name. These flowers are beautiful, and they just, oh, no, even if they're wimpy and short, they look beautiful. And they're usable. Well, this is probably the only one, but I could have used it in a mini mason jar, but I just haven't had time to make mason jars or anything. Now here I did Love in a Mist. Nothing. So hopefully those will pop up. I'm a little nervous because I got to go to Rhode Island and I'm in Arizona, and I'm probably going to be there for a good 3 nights, possibly just 2. But, you know, it's like I got to drive 3 hours to the nearest airport and then get on the airplane, and hopefully it won't, you know, so it's going to be 5 solid days of me being gone, and I'm really worried about what's going to happen to the garden, and it's right at the time when we get our first freeze. And I wanted to be on hand to make sure to cover things at night if we have a first freeze. And I might not be able to do that, and then I just don't know if people don't understand what's going on, you know, and you try to tell them and they don't believe you. Like, I tried to get some people to plant some yarrow, and I don't think they did it because they're like, well, the package says don't plant until after the first frost. And I'm like, I know, but don't listen to that. Anyways, but, you know, I have to do it and show them how it's done, and I've never actually done it. But I believe Lisa Mason Ziegler when she says, plant yarrow in the fall and Love in a Mist, planted in the fall. I believe her because she's done it. And I someday will be able to say, look, I've done it. I was told this, so I tried it, and it worked, and you can do it too. That's what I want to tell people. So in a couple years, I'll be there, I think. And I'm still, you know, as a gardener, you're still always learning. So, all right, Crystal at the Rain Dance Ranch. When it rains, go out and plant. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.